And it just, God hit me right then in that moment and said, wait a minute. Tom, have you noticed what's happening these last 24, 36 hours? I said, I'm hitting the accelerator, man, and you want to hit the brakes.
April 25th, 2024, Tom Martin was indecisive on which high-risk treatment should be administered to his 58-year-old wife, Dee, who had suffered a massive brain bleed 2 days earlier. A neurosurgeon at Lutheran Hospital in Fort Wayne, Indiana, delivered the grim prognosis.
He said, this is the most severe, difficult, and tricky to treat condition I've ever seen. And he said, because of that, I have to tell you that Dee has less than a 20% chance of survival.
However, what the physician said next gave Tom hope.
We're gonna go after this. I loved that. So we're gonna go after this. And so when he said that, the thing that came to my mind was, all right, let's, God, make this 20% 100%.
Immediately, an angiogram was performed to measure the bleeding in Dee's brain and a head catheter inserted to relieve pressure. Meanwhile, Tom called family and friends to pray, giving specifics to what needed to happen for Dee to survive. John Myers, his brother-in-law in Lynchburg, Virginia, was one of them.
We had, the first response was to pray. I woke Mary and we just began to pray.
It's like, we're talking her life, you know, that she may not survive. And the thought of that at 58 was really kind of shattering and scary for me.
Hours later, after more tests were performed, the neurosurgeon met with Tom again to share the findings. There were 3 treatment options, all high risk, and
he said, whatever we do in the next 2 to 3 weeks of this will not change that less than 20% chance of survival at all. Absolutely, I'm praying. God's will be done, first and foremost. The prayer that to this day I pray is, God, go before us.
Tom chose the option of placing a stent into Dee's brain. However, certain criteria had to be met. Intracranial pressure and bleeding had to stabilize.
They had 5 scans that had continued to increase, okay, in terms of the bleed. And Dr. Kotry said we need to have at least 2 scans that level off.
I was receiving texts from Tom just continuously. Yeah, well, one of the first people I reached out to was a friend of mine here in town who leads a men's prayer meeting. And I knew he'd have 50 to 60 men there praying.
2 days later,
we got those 2 data points on Thursday. The bottom line is, you know, it's decision time, Tom.
Only he began to doubt himself.
Really hit me hard is that, okay, we said we were gonna do option 2. And I thought, well, maybe we go with option 3. Let's go with 3, let's wait. I went, no, I can't do that to God. I can't hit the brakes, not at, my faith wanted to leave me so quickly there. So I can't do it. I can't do it. He's brought us this far. He'll take us the rest of the way.
Dee survived the 5.5-hour surgery where 2 stents were inserted. Now, they had to wait.
We have no guarantee of any outcomes. We don't know cognitively what Dee is going to be like, if at anything, you know, during or following this, you know, what permanent disabilities, assuming she survives it.
And then, 3.5 weeks later, while Dee was being evaluated by a nurse,
she pointed at me and she said, hey, do you know who that guy is? And Dee nodded her head.
I must have asked Tom questions because I didn't know how long I had been there, and I remember asking him, you know, how long have I been here? Where am I at? And he just started answering those questions. I couldn't believe when he told me, and I'd been in the hospital 4 weeks. That was unbelievable to me that, you know, last thing I remember is going to bed with a headache.
A week later, Dee was released from the hospital and continued in outpatient rehab for 6 more weeks.
We were surprised, I think, when it was like, you know, they're discharging her, taking her off of intensive care, and they're going to put her on a regular floor, and then they're moving her out of the hospital to rehab. And then even at the end of that, it's like, I don't know if it's 10 days, and they were like, we're sending her home. And, you know, I thought, wow.
Today, she has no limitations.
People that will tell me, you know, my Bible study group, you know, there were 40 men on their knees praying for Dee. It's just amazing. I'm like, wow, all these people all over the country, people I don't know, praying for me.
But boy, when you're pleading for somebody's life, it's amazing, and God just increased our faith in the whole process and confirmed with us the importance of prayer.
Prayers that were answered so specifically on a consistent basis, it amazed all of us. God's word is true. It was real, and he was there.